Hi, I'm Sam Ringgold, and today I'm going to show you guys how to take a EMD locomotive bell apart and get into the motor housing. This is my EMD steel bell. It is a bipod type, so it most likely came off of a switcher locomotive. When I first received the bell, it was not a pretty sight. I had to restore it inside and out, and when I first got it, I wasn't educated in the field of locomotive bells, so I wasn't really sure on how to take this thing apart and how to get inside of it. But after working on it and after learning it, I'm going to save you guys the trouble and give you some tips on how to get in there and fix whatever might be wrong with your locomotive bell. On the top of your locomotive bell, you will find a number. This number on this locomotive bell is 8475495. That comes back to the EMD steel. Over here, you've got two F's in a circle, and then 85. I'm not certain on what the 85 means. The only assumption I can come up with is 85 for the year 1985 in which this bell may have been casted. So that's all I can figure out. If some of you guys know anything, please feel free to comment on this video. So first things first, we're going to take the nut off here of the stem and the washer. So now we're taking the nut off and the washer, and all we need to do now is lift the bell off of the bipod assembly. If your bell has been sitting for a while, this might be a little tough. You might want to sit there. If you've got an inlet or some source on top of the stem, you might want to take that off and find a piece of wood or something and put that on top, hammer it until you break this loose. So basically all I'm going to do now is wiggle this and it will fall out. Here's my Graham White Salem 506 ringer, and basically now we'll just lift the bell off. The bell is cast steel. It weighs about 56 to 60 pounds. So carefully lay that out without. So there you have it. You've got the bell off of the assembly and your 506 ringer out. For most bell collectors, the ringer is the problem because they've been on a locomotive for so long, and probably one of the reasons somebody's selling them from the railroad or giving them away is because they don't work. And a lot of the mistakes is people just throw them away. Well, what you can do is fix one of these yourself without having to buy a new one. And I'm just going to show you guys how to get in there and how everything works. Alright, so we've got this loosened. We're just going to go ahead and loosen it up. I'm just going to go ahead and take it off. So that's that. Put that over here. Next thing is grasp this very tightly and use the clapper as a handle and loosen it. This just unscrews from the clapper mechanism, and once you got this out, you're basically home free. So there's the clapper, of course, and the yoke. Now all that's left is the cartridge and the motor. I've worked on mine so much I can just pull the motor out. For most of the guys out there, if y'all have a stiff motor, you can just hook the air line up to it, maybe around 40, 50, 60 psi. Hook that in and it'll blow the cartridge out. That's the inside of the cartridge. Basically, this is just a pneumatic motor. It sits in the cartridge and air comes down and feeds into these little holes, which will push this piston out. This piston has a little hole right there. When it gets to that spot, when this hole is exposed, it stalls and the piston will go back in or whatever. Anyways, what you're going to want to do is loosen. This cartridge is broke up into two pieces. You're going to want to loosen this, stick a big wrench right here and another wrench right there and kind of work it. Anyways, it'll end up unscrewing. You take that off, and then the piston, we'll just set this down, and the piston will just come out. And that's that. Your piston should be loose enough for you to work it back and forth. But if it's not, just you put a little bit of lubrication on it, 3-in-1 oil or some other stuff, and it should work. The piston has 2 O-rings. Make sure these are in good condition. If not, you might want to go ahead and go to Ace's Hardware somewhere, and in their faucet repair area they will have O-rings for you. Anyways, so that's that. And that's how you get into the bell ringer cartridge. We'll go ahead and put it back together for you and show you how this should work. We got the bell ringer back together, and you can hear the compression in there. So we'll go ahead, put the ringer back in there, and there's an O-ring around the ringer. That basically keeps the air from the cartridge from escaping. And I'm going to take a flat blade and just wedge the O-ring down in there, get a nice tight fit, because I don't want any air leaking. I want maximum pressure I can get out of this bell ringer so it works correctly. Okay, so I've got the bell ringer wedged down in there like it should be, and I've got the clapper mechanism. We're just going to put them back together and screw it in place. Get it nice and tight, because you don't want any room for that cartridge to come out and start leaking air. So leave it nice and tight, and then of course you've got your screw. We'll go ahead and screw it in there nice and tight so this will not be loose. Okay, so everything's back together nice and tight. This is how the ringer should look. Let's go ahead, and before we get the bell put back together, we'll go ahead and test it so we can make sure it works like it should. So here I've got a airline. I'm running at about 50 psi, 50 to 60 psi. You don't want to put too much pressure behind these things. So we got air in there. Not a lot of air leaking. And the bell clapper works. What you're hearing is that hole we were talking about earlier. It comes out, and then all the exhaust air comes out, and then it stalls and goes back inward. So that's how this works. We'll go ahead and put the bell back together. First thing you're going to want to do is make sure everything is where you want it on your bipod or your tripod or whatever you've got. Some bells have lock washers and lock plates and everything else. So I've got 3 washers inside, so one's stuck in there. So we'll go ahead and put the bell on the bipod. Like it should be. Next thing is to stick the ringer inside and get it all back together. So it goes up the stem of the bell. We'll just keep it right there for now. Go ahead and put the lock washer up top, and we'll wedge that up there. Screw the nut on there temporarily. Get it tight. and then take your wrench and tighten her down where she's got a snug fit, and until your bell will stop wiggling and be nice and firm, and then you've got it. Alright, so now we've got the bell tight. The bell does not wiggle on the bipod. We'll go ahead and test it. And it works. So if you guys have experienced the troubles I have in the past, I hope this video helps you guys and helps you on knowing how to take your bell apart, how to get in there, and what to work on. Like I said, when I've got this bell, it was rusty. The inside of the cartridge, the stem or the pipe was rusted, so there was no airflow getting to the motor mechanism. So I took the bell apart after 3 or 4 days of trying to figure out how to get into it, and I cleaned it out. I sanded the bell down, primed it, painted it, and it looks good. Put some new hardware on it. The 506 ringer right now works, and that's fine, but I'm debating on getting another one, just as a backup or whatever. But you know, I always look at it as, if it works, why mess with it? So it's fine with me, and I'm planning on getting a pickup truck, and this will go on it as well as with my Leslie RS3L air horns and my future air horns to come. So I hope this video has helped you guys and taken some of the stress off your guys' shoulders. So y'all enjoy, and y'all have a good day.